JB is singing. Former AG, former cabinet secretary, Justin Muturi, is singing. He's spilling the beans non-stop. In fact, a section of the press has now coined the term the Muturi tapes. And actually that is no exaggeration. Muturi is telling us everything. And is giving specific examples. And is saying it in as many words that President William Samoei Ruto is not fit to hold the office of the President of the Republic of Kenya. He is saying it, mchana peupe, that William Ruto is very corrupt. And you see, he's not just saying these words. He's not just heckling. He's giving specific, very specific examples where he was also involved. And the picture he paints of the government is the same picture that so many Kenyans already have. But here's the difference. You know, it is one thing to suspect something and to see small bits of evidence here and there to support what you're suspecting. But it is quite another for a former insider, now whistleblower, to come out and give you the inside information, the details, step by step, naming names. Hey, I mean, instead of Bwana Muturi saying, the president met somebody who is a senior member of such and such an organization. No. He's giving the names. Mr. So-and-so, who is a very close friend of the president. Chairman of Safaricom, etc., etc. Hey. But let me get something out of the way first. Because let's be careful with the government bloggers. A lot of people want to pour water on these explosive revelations by saying, why is Muturi deciding to tell us this now? Why didn't he tell us earlier? He is just bitter. Hakupewa share yake. That is why he's telling us. Now hold on a minute. Even if all that is true, we are missing the point here. Completely. Let me give you a simple example. The state cannot be able to nail a certain suspect. Yeah, they know this person did it, but they don't have the evidence. You cannot convict without the evidence. And so what do? They go to the best friend of the suspect, or somebody who's close to the suspect, and they make a deal. They say, look, we may not have enough evidence right now to nail so and so and you put together. But you know it is only a matter of time. We're going to get it. And you're going to go away for a long time. And therefore, why don't you save yourself all that? And you do a plea bargain deal. You tell us everything, and then we take care of you. Isn't that what happens all the time? And yet I don't hear somebody coming out and saying, no, that witness, he was also involved. Why don't you also investigate what he was doing? No, please, let's not lose focus. Okay? If somebody comes out and gives us information, it is irrelevant. Yeah? What kind of person he was. It is irrelevant whether he was involved or not at this juncture. Yeah? Let us focus first of all on the concrete evidence. By the way, JB has evidence. He has saved a paper trail, yeah, on soft copy. Yeah, so that means, hata akimalizwa, hiyo evidence iko mahali. Kimeumana kuumana. Si mnakubaliana na mimi? Kimeumana ama? Hey! Now, I'm laughing, but this is a horror story for the people of Kenya. Beyond a horror story. Because the picture that is emerging from solid evidence from a former insider, talking about the Adani deal, talking about the Aurora, Kimwarer, etc., etc. The picture that is emerging is an executive that is so greedy, so corrupt, that the country called Kenya, under this leadership, kwisha maneno. And that one is not an exaggeration. It is not. It is super fascinating that I have a special report, quoting experts which describe the character of Bwana Ruto very accurately. And it is so scary, it has been so scary for me, because in recent times, I have seen those things being talked about by experts, happening so precisely, one after the other, after the other, after the other, that I've just been saying, what? And you know what these experts are saying is that this particular condition can never change. It is not possible to cure. Okay? Now, by the way, that special report is still available. It is available with a stack of highly classified information that I'm making available for a very, very short time. You can see details on your screens right now. For only Kenya shillings 2,999. Included in that pack is another super fascinating video about how a president of East Africa, the late President John Pombe Magufuli, was finished using remote control. By remote control. Very high tech. Okay? And it is not stories ajaba. Evidence is given. Can't afford to miss that one. Now kuna zingine nyingi, I don't want to take so much time talking about the highly classified information, even the Ogola hit, the Saitoti hit. All that information is there, including latest politics. What is happening and what is bound to happen. All those videos ziko hapo. Okay, so I suggest you take quick action. All you need to do is to M-Pesa 2,999, and pop, you'll have this information in your inbox. So what I was saying is that this picture that is being painted is a horror story, and it explains a lot of things that have been happening. I mean, Muturi even talks about how certain government procedures are bypassed. For instance, the Adani deals did not go through the AG, which by law they must. They must. They went directly from some people who had been hired on the side, kando, to draft this thing. It went directly from them, pop, into parliament. You ulisikia wapi? But for me, the biggest revelation by far, if you read between the lines of what Bwana Muturi is saying so far, this is too big. The biggest thing for me here is the possible link between the abduction of Justin Muturi's son and things that happened inside government. Okay? Now we know, for whatever reason, Bwana Muturi is telling us, he refused to sign certain documents. He was being difficult. Okay? Because he wanted to follow the law. Now, it is very easy to throw barbs at Bwana Muturi. It is very easy to say, oh, you know, Bwana Muturi akupewa kati yake, that's why he was behaving like this. It's very easy to do that. But then I want you to look at another possibility. Okay? Now, when you have enough experience in this world, you will know that it is possible to do something now, today, you do it, and it's very easy to do. But then it comes back to bite you very badly in the near future. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Especially when it comes to signing documents. Hii signature ni ya nani? Your signature is there. They even call a handwriting expert in to be able to tell whether it's forged or not. Yeah? And you have signed on every page. That's what happens with legal documents. Your signature inakuja kuletea shida kubwa sana. And therefore I want us to consider the possibility that Bwana Muturi, who's a former magistrate and has had experiences in the past where things he did, things he signed, have come back to haunt him, Ali hesitate. He refused to sign these things. And so, the presidency, the executive realized, hapa iko shida. And this is why these Adani deals, including the Sha, Shi, Sho, Shu, bypassed the AG. And JB told us himself he was delighted when one of the applicants being interviewed for the positions at the IEBC, Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, told the people interviewing her that actually she was part of the team which was drafting some legislation which they then took directly to Parliament, or which was then directly taken to Parliament, therefore vindicating Bwana Muturi. In other words, this is further evidence supporting Bwana Muturi. And therefore, the very explosive thing we must consider here is that there could be a link to Bwana Muturi being difficult and the abduction of his son. Ay, yeah. Hey, because we know that Bwana Muturi's son was abducted and there was involvement of the NIS. Now, when you have such fellows involved, you can be sure of one thing. The thing is very deep. Okay? Usually it is something to do with information. Yeah? Because if it is not something deep, then you involve the DCI. Just order the DCI guys to do it. Okay? They'll question a person, blah, 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 and so on. But when it is technical, very deep, information involved, then you involve the NIS. It is very possible that it may even have had something to do with this soft copy manenos Bwana Muturi is talking about. I mean, this thing is so messy. And Bwana Muturi, yes, he's spilling the beans, yes, he's singing, but kuna vitu ana avoid. He's not giving the whole story. There are some certain areas where he talks, then he applies emergency brakes, which raises very many questions, and which tells us without doubt that this thing is very, very smelly. It stinks to the high heavens. And so let us be very careful not to fall for diversionary tactics, not to fall for what government bloggers are doing, focusing on the messenger rather than on the message. Let us be very careful, because that is exactly what they would do. Even digging up Bwana Muturi's past, which is quite, they could do that. But then, as I said earlier, it is good for us in this particular instance to focus, on what information and evidence Bwana Muturi is giving the people of Kenya, which unfortunately is just confirming, that we thought we were in trouble, but we were very wrong. We are not in trouble. We're in a very, very, very deep hole. We are coming out. it will be virtually impossible to come out. But God, only the Most High, can help us out of this one. And it is not going to be easy. Institutionalized corruption sio mchezo. And tena you're talking about the highest office in the land. You think that is a small matter? It isn't. Now, very quickly before I go, I just want to remind you, I highly recommend you get that stack of Kumekucha's most classified, sensitive videos. They are well worth it. You can see the price on your screens right now, only Kenya shillings 2,999. Can't even buy a good dinner at a good restaurant for one person. No, it can't. Yeah, but you will get valuable information, which is especially relevant now in this season, and especially in this month of April. Folks, this April, this April, wacha tu. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.